All right, guys, welcome to You've Got Questions, I've Got Answers. Today, we're going to get into the question of my inspection came back showing 2 roof leaks, but we really thought this was the one. Should we walk? Stay with me, and I'll give you the answer.
You better get fired up!
So this is kind of a fun one because I got this from an out-of-state real estate agent who I've been friends with for years, and he reached out and said, hey, I've got a client. This is what they're asking me. I don't know exactly what I should say. What would you recommend? And I know part of him. He didn't say it, but I could tell based on just kind of knowing his situation and what he has shared with me in the past financially. He's thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose a commission. I want to push these people forward. And so this is what I told him, and I'm going to share this with you. And really the same advice would apply no matter who it is that's buying, whether it's one of my clients, my mother, one of my kids, you, I would give the same exact advice. You've really got to look at the situation and think logically. And you've got to think about what your motivating factor is. I try to teach anybody in my trainings all the time. The biggest thing driving a lot of these decisions should be the motivation of the person who's buying, the motivation of the person who's selling. So when the person buying says, what did they say here? We really thought this home was the one. That tells me there are some boxes to be checked, and this sucker's checking more than most other, if not all other homes. It might be in the perfect neighborhood. It's got the perfect, there's something about it that, man, made this the right one. But it had a couple roof leaks. To me, major issues, and when I'm talking major issues, I'm talking about safety concerns, or expensive issues that most people are going to want to get fixed. Most of those issues are negotiable. And I don't care what home you buy. You can buy a brand new construction home. I can't tell you how many times I've seen an inspection come back with issues on a new construction home. Every home you buy is going to have its problems. And if it doesn't, give it 3 years and it will, right? So you're buying a piece of imperfection that is going to serve you 95% of the time, and 5% of the time it's going to be a pain in the butt. It just is what it is. We had a closing the other day. I had the seller. The buyer got in. The next day, one of the outlets wouldn't work. Well, guess what? It worked a final inspection. Welcome to owning a home, right? That's just the way it is. You ever buy a car? It gets past the lemon law. If your state has a lemon law, I think it's usually 10 days, and it's magically on day 11 having problems. Isn't that something? Welcome to owning a car. That's how it is. So you're going to have that problem no matter what. So here, if we're looking at 2 roof leaks, I'm thinking, can we salvage this deal because this person's motivating factor is so strong that they love this one? This is the one. Can we salvage the deal by asking the seller to repair the 2 leaks? And if the roof is old enough, here in Florida, I would say 17, 18 years old or older is probably old enough. We might get them to re-roof it. Now, they're probably not going to re-roof it at cost. Say it's a $15,000 roof. Most sellers aren't just going to shell out 15 grand. Some will. And you can certainly try to negotiate that. There's different negotiation techniques you want to implement there to possibly get all or a good chunk of that. But I would say you're definitely going to want to share in that cost, right? So if it's a 17-year-old roof and it's shingle, I would just tell the seller, listen, most roofs are going to last 21, 22 years. So we would have got another 5 years out of it. So we'll pay maybe 17, 20 seconds of a new roof, and you'll pay 5, 20 seconds of a roof. So whatever 5, 20 seconds of 15,000 is, we're asking you to pony that up. Maybe my buyer doesn't have the cash. I would say, okay, let's get that $15,000 roof on, and maybe we increase the price $10,000, not the full 15, because we want the seller to pay for a part of it. Maybe you just get the 2 roof leaks fixed. I've seen roof leaks cost $1,000, $1,200. 2 of them will be $2 grand, $3 grand, somewhere around there. Much more reasonable. So you can negotiate a lot of different things, but I would say, and I always tell my clients this, if you truly want this home, or if you truly want to sell this home, let's not be the party that kills the deal. Let's not be the party that says no. Give them something. Maybe it's terms, maybe it's part of what they're wanting on the money. Whatever it is, give them something. Make them kill the deal. We're deal makers. We can let them be deal breakers. We're not going to be deal breakers. That's my thought. Now, if the motivating factor isn't that strong, for example, investors are the best example of this. An investor doesn't care about anything other than do the numbers work. They'll take on more issues as long as there's equal or more profit. So if we've got a deal where whatever we're paying as an investor is exactly where we need to be, to purchase the home and it make financial sense, and we have a roofing issue come up, they're going to want that repaired. And they're going to say, hey, you've either got to get this back to where it's repaired and it's good to go and it's in the same condition it was, or at least that we thought it was when we put the offer in, or the deal falls apart. And that's a good decision for that person because that person's in it for the profit. When I bought this home right here, I was not in it for the profit at all. I'm in it because I absolutely love it. I would have honestly paid 30, 40 grand more than I paid for it. I love this house and I'll probably stay here until I'm in my 60s or 70s. I might die in this house. I freaking love it. So for me to pay a little bit more or to take on some more issues, I didn't even get an inspection with this one. It was when it was hot. Now, I'm not promoting not getting an inspection, but what I'm trying to show is your offer, and your offer isn't just your initial offer. It's also, you've always got an offer on the table. So when you get to the post-inspection, you might be saying, well, now my offer's changed. Now I want a $3,000 credit, or now I want a new roof, or now I want the plumbing fixed, or whatever it is. That's your offer. There was no way I was letting this home go. And I think it was 17 years old when I bought it. So it had an original AC, it had original water heater, original roof. And I said, all the things I'm truly concerned about, they're all 17 years old and I'm going to need to fix them in the next 3 years, which I got a new water heater, I got a new AC, I got a new roof, I got a new pool pump, I got new everything. But I kind of knew that. I knew that was going to happen. So what good was an inspection gonna do me? And visually, as a realtor who's been to a million inspections, I was pretty comfortable with that. If you're not comfortable with that, or maybe you've got a 10-year-old home that doesn't have things that should be going out, and so you do want to check them, it's a little bit different scenario. Let's talk about other scary things, and then I'll get to non-scary things. So any electrical issue, I want to take care of. Not because it doesn't work. In fact, I've seen all kinds of unlicensed work that's jacked up. I shouldn't say it doesn't work. It does work, but it's not up to code, and we want it fixed. And it's not that it doesn't work. It's that we're concerned about, A, starting an electrical fire. That's a big deal. Or B, literally anything happening. Let's say a fire happens, and it wasn't due to the electrical. But insurance comes in and sees, oh, you've got electrical that's not up to code. We're not able to cover this. That's a problem. So we're going to want that fixed. I've even had the ends of wires will not be capped off, right? You got those little screw nuts, and it'll pop up on an inspection. I say, guys, this is literally $1.99, and you just screw it on. It's a piece of cake. Or you can hire somebody to do it. They'll charge you $100, $150. It's not a big deal either way. But I would want to get it done because we're not closing for 30 to 45 days. And if something happens, that's going to be a problem. And it's cheap. The seller should want to fix this themselves, whether you buy the home or not. So that's a safety issue. If you've got bad plumbing pipes, right? Rusted out pipes, or I can't even think of what the old crappy ones were called that we had a lot of problems with here. Somebody will write it in the comments. I can't think of what the polybutylene. I can't remember. But anyway, they all had to be swapped out. Chinese drywall, right? Safety hazard. Or asbestos. That's a health concern. Excessive mold. Every home has mold. My home has mold growing right out my garage on my AC. I clean it about every 2 months. Just grows right on back. Not worried about it. It's not an excessive amount. But every home has mold in it. Is it scary? Is there a source of water intrusion that should make me concerned? That's really what you're looking for. So that's something that I would probably say, hey, this has to be repaired. If it's not going to be repaired, I would walk. But on 2 roof leaks, would I walk? No. I would tell every single one of my clients, if this is truly, your dream home, this is the one, and there's a big gap between it and whatever your option B is, let's just see if they'll fix the roof. I mean, roof issues are common. You can get a brand new roof, and in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you've got a roof leak. It happens all the time. And it's really not that big of a deal. Like I said, a lot of roof leaks, not all of them. Some of them can be more expensive. Most roof leaks are just under $1,000, maybe up to $1,500. I think one of the highest ones I've ever seen is $2,000. I'm not saying that's a little amount of money, but it's no reason to step away from a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 investment. So in most cases, I would stick with it. In this case, I would stick with it. What are some cases where I wouldn't stick with it? If I saw excessive mold and it was not an investor, if it's an investor, I would say, do you know how to fix mold, or do you have a guy who can do mold? Let's run the numbers and let's make it make sense. If it makes sense, let's buy it. And most investors would. But if you've just got, little Jimmy and Tiffany and they're first time home buyers and they're 27 years old and he's an accountant and she's a secretary and they just do desk jobs, they're not handy. I'm not going to put them in a situation where they've got massive mold in their house, and they're young. They want to live in it. They're not trying to, flip it. If you're trying to flip a house, you can come in with all the masks, the protective gear, everything else, work, leave, take it off, go home to your family, and then come back to work the next day. You're safe. If you're little Jimmy and Tiffany and you're living there, that's a whole different deal, right? So there's no black and white answer to this, but I will say 95% of the time when I see somebody walking without trying to negotiate, I always think they're letting their emotions get the best of them and they should probably try to negotiate. And they're not going to win every single time. In fact, a lot of these situations, they're going to win a very small amount of the time, but you'll win more than you think. And if you ask for things, that seller, while they want to profit as much as they can, they're also human. And most humans, think about yourself. If you own a home and it's got 2 roof leaks, if you own a home and it's got massive mold, if you've got a home and it's got exposed wiring that could cause electrical fires, and that issue there is a cheap issue to fix, like I said, 100, 150 bucks tops, and you're asked to fix those, you're probably going to say yes. So what are the things I don't think you should be negotiating? Weather stripping on a door. If you got a little breeze coming through the door, you can figure out weather stripping and it'll cost you less than 100 bucks. You can hire it out and it'll cost you a few $100. It's cheap, it's easy, and it's not going to hurt you. Minor hairline cracks in tile, especially if you've got a floor that's, 8, 10, 12 years old or older. It's very common. It's not a big deal. You can get crack filler. It's an aesthetic issue, right? As long as the price matches, who cares? Peeling wallpaper. That's something literally any 18-year-old who's never wallpapered in their life can figure out through about a 13-minute YouTube video. You can figure it out. You can peel that wallpaper off. It'll show you exactly how to do it. And you can paint, you can re-wallpaper, you can do whatever you want. And that job, if you do it yourself for, like, say, a bathroom, is going to cost you a few $100. It's not going to be expensive at all. A cracked window. Most sellers are going to fix cracked windows, honestly. Hardware on windows. That's a big one I see, where the window will not stay up. I've got a guy who will do a window for 75 bucks. So if you got 4 windows out, that's $300. Come on. I'm not saying don't negotiate, don't ask for it. I'm saying if you try to and they say no, $300 in window hardware is no reason to back out of a $400,000 deal. That's crazy. Sliders, not sliding well. It's not a broken door 99% of the time. It's the fact that you got a bunch of junk sitting in that rail, and all you got to do is clean it out. And once you clean it out, the thing will zip right along, right? You'll be good to go. On a tile roof, I don't think I've ever sold a home with a tile roof where there hasn't been 10 to 20 tiles that have minor cracks in them. Not a big problem. You can get epoxy and you can fix them. Or you can hire somebody to go up there and fix them for epoxy. The epoxy will probably cost you $19.99. If you get a guy to do it plus the epoxy, you're looking at $219.99, right? It's just a couple $100. It's not a big deal. Missing shingles. Again, try to negotiate, but if you can't, it's not that expensive. If you've got 2, 3, 4, 5 shingles missing, you can get a contractor out there, a roofer, and they can probably fix that for $300 to $800. It's pretty normal, not a big deal. Door hardware, cabinet doors that are a little, kiltered off to one side. All these things are really easy to fix, really cheap to fix if you don't know how and you want to hire somebody. And there's certainly not reasons to walk. Again, I'm not saying don't try to negotiate. As a buyer, you literally lose nothing by trying to negotiate at an inspection. If you say, hey, I want this one 99-cent light bulb changed, and the seller says no, you can still move forward. You're in full control. So you risk nothing by asking. So you absolutely should be asking. But mentally, you've got to take the emotion out of it. think a year from now, will I be glad that I walked because I didn't get my 99-cent light bulb? Or will I say, man, I really made an emotional decision that day and I wish I hadn't, because that home would have been absolutely amazing. So again, no black and white answer to this, but I would say listen to your realtor. Get a realtor you trust, who's not going to push you because it's a sale. They're gonna tell you the logical reason they would do whatever it is they do. I always try to talk to people like they were my daughters. What would I say to my daughters if they were 18 years old? This is the first home that they were buying. What would I tell them? Would I push them? Well, then I'm going to push you guys. Would I say, hey, I think we need to back off a little bit? Well, then I'm going to tell them we need to back off. And you definitely want a professional there with you doing that. Not just a realtor, man, a lender as well. So if you guys have questions that you'd like me to answer in the future, I'm here every single Friday at 11 o'clock. We'd love to answer your questions, but thanks for joining me this week, and we'll see you next time.